Hello everybody, this is Coach Shafto. Today we're learning how to find the area of compound figures. As a quick review, remember that the area of a rectangle is base times the height. The area of a parallelogram is base times height. The area of a triangle is half of the base times height. And the area of a trapezoid, it's like a triangle, but there's two bases, is base 1 plus base 2 added together, and then times the height, and then divided by 2. Let's go ahead and get started. As we're working on these problems, we need to think through what is the area of this figure. And what I like to note is that this figure is made up of two different types of rectangles. If we go ahead and look at these rectangles, I'm going to go ahead and cut it across. So I'm going to look here, and that's my first rectangle. So if I look, well, the first rectangle is going to be this 15 and this 4. So I'm going to draw that first rectangle. It's going to be right here. It's 15 millimeters long, and it's 4 millimeters tall. The second rectangle is going to be made up of this 10 millimeter right here. That's the height, and the base is 35 millimeters. And so if I take both of these, the 4 times 15 is going to give me 60 millimeters squared. And the 10 times 35 is going to be 350 millimeters squared. So if I take these together, I've got 60 plus 350, which is going to be 410 millimeters squared. So I've cut up my shape, and then I've added the pieces back together, and then I'm going to end up with an answer. In the next problem, it says, what's the area of this figure? And so, again, step one is we're going to cut up our shape. So if I cut this up, I've got my section over here. And so I've got my top rectangle, which is going to look like this, and it's pretty big. The width is 6. And then I have two options for the height. I've got 18 and I've got 16. Well, the height's not going to be 18 because that 18 goes all the way down to the base, but we cut that section off. So that's incorrect. So the correct height is 16 here. Then I've got my small rectangle, and that's going to be 2 by 2, 2 inches wide and 2 inches tall. I know that 2 times 2 is going to be 4, and then 16 times 6 is going to be 60 because 6 times 10 is 60, and 6 times 6 is 36. So that's going to be 96. So I've got 4 plus 96, and that's going to give me 100 inches squared. If we jump ahead to the next level, here it gets a little bit harder, but it's the same basic idea. The first step is to cut up your rectangle. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut this like this. I'm going to cut up. And then I'm going to cut up again. And so if we look at this, I've got my first rectangle. Let's call this rectangle A. We'll call this rectangle B. And we'll call this rectangle C. So rectangle B is going to be like this. And then rectangle C is going to look like that. So as I'm looking at this, I've got rectangle A, which is right here. And so we've got 10 and 22 as my base and as my height. So I've got 10 and 22. So this is going to be 220 as my area. When I look at B, I see that the base is 12, but the question is, what's my height? And so I have 8 here, but this 8 only goes up part way. And in this other section, if we draw this 10 and move it over, this is 10. So the whole height is 18 and the base is 12. In the last one, I have a base of 21. But then what's my height going to be? It's 21 and 25. And so in B, I have 12 times 18. And I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm going to use the calculator. That's 216. And then in C, I have 21 times 25, which is 525. So if I add all of these together, I've got 220 plus 216 plus 525, which is equal to 961. For this assignment, you need to hit a goal of 70 at least, and if you want the challenge, you can go all the way to 100.